The massive alien ship hung in space like a dark mountain. It floated near Earth's moon, casting shadows across the lunar surface. The ship was bigger than any city on Earth. Its black metal surface reflected no light from the sun. Strange symbols glowed blue along its sides. Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his vessel. His 4 arms moved across control panels while his 6 eyes watched Earth spinning below. The planet looked small and peaceful. Blue oceans covered most of its surface. White clouds drifted over green and brown land masses. It seemed like such a weak little world. "Begin transmission," Zethkar ordered his crew. His voice was deep and rough like grinding stone. On Earth, every television screen went dark. Every radio fell silent. Every computer monitor flickered and changed. Then a new image appeared everywhere at once. People in New York stopped walking and stared at giant screens in Times Square. Families in small towns gathered around their televisions. Workers in offices crowded around computer screens. The alien commander appeared on every screen. His gray skin looked like old leather. Sharp teeth filled his mouth. His multiple eyes blinked one at a time as he spoke. "People of Earth," Zethkar began. "I am Commander Zethkar of the Hegemony Fleet. Your species has been discovered by the Galaxy Council. We have watched you for some time now. You have grown beyond your small world. You have begun to reach into space." President Kate Morrison sat in the emergency meeting room deep under the White House. 12 world leaders appeared on screens around the table. Their faces showed fear and confusion. Some whispered to their advisors. Others sat frozen in their chairs. "The Galaxy Council has ruled over this part of space for 3,000 years, the alien continued. "We bring order to chaos. We protect weak species from strong ones. We prevent wars between worlds. But this protection comes with a price." General Paul Harrison leaned forward in his chair. His weathered face remained calm, but his hands gripped the table edge. He had spent 40 years in the military. He had fought in 3 wars, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. "Your planet will now pay tribute to the Galaxy Council," Zethkar announced. "Each year you will give us 40% of all resources your world produces. This includes metals, food, energy, and manufactured goods. You will also provide 20% of your population to work in our colonies throughout the galaxy." Gasps echoed around the meeting room. The president of Brazil shook his head. The prime minister of Japan closed her eyes. The president of Russia slammed his fist on his desk. "Furthermore," Zethkar continued, "your species will immediately disarm all military forces. You will destroy all weapons of war. You will dismantle all armed forces. The Galaxy Council will protect you. You no longer have need for such things." President Morrison felt anger rising in her chest. She looked at General Harrison. He nodded slightly and slid a thin folder across the table to her. The folder was marked with red letters that said Project Starforge and Top Secret. "You have 7 of your days to agree to these terms," Zethkar said. "If you refuse, we will take what we need by force. We will destroy your major cities until you surrender. This is how things have always been done. This is how they will continue to be done." The transmission ended. Every screen went black for a moment, then returned to normal programming. But nothing would ever be normal again. Dr. Amanda Price walked quickly down a hallway deep inside Cheyenne Mountain. Her security badge opened heavy metal doors as she moved toward the conference room. She carried a briefcase filled with files that could change everything. These files contained humanity's greatest secret. In the meeting room, world leaders argued through video screens. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others demanded they fight back. A few asked how they could possibly fight beings who traveled between stars. "We can't fight them," said the president of France. "They have ships that cross space. We barely made it to our own moon." "We have to negotiate," added the Prime Minister of England. "Maybe we can reduce their demands. Maybe we can find a compromise." President Morrison opened the folder General Harrison had given her. Her eyes widened as she read the first page. Then she looked up at the general. "Is this real?" she asked. "Every word," Harrison replied. "We've been preparing for this day for 30 years." Dr. Price entered the room and set her briefcase on the table. She opened it and pulled out photographs of massive construction sites built inside asteroids. The images showed huge metal frameworks that looked like the skeletons of enormous ships. Project Starforge began in 1995, Dr. Price explained to the world leaders. "We detected the first alien signals that year. Most people never knew about them, but some of us knew this day would come. We knew that someday someone would find us. We decided to be ready." She spread more photographs across the table. These showed completed starships floating in the darkness between planets. The ships looked sleek and dangerous. Their hulls were covered with weapon systems and sensor arrays. "We built shipyards throughout the asteroid belt," Dr. Price continued. "We used remote mining operations as cover stories. For 3 decades, we've been building a fleet. We've been developing weapons. We've been training crews. The aliens think they found a primitive species that just learned to leave their planet. They have no idea what we're really capable of." General Harrison stood up and walked to a large screen on the wall. With the press of a button, the screen showed a star map. Red dots marked human positions throughout the solar system. There were dozens of them. "We have 47 operational warships," Harrison said. "Each one is armed with kinetic weapons, particle beams, and nuclear missiles. We have crews trained in zero-gravity combat. We have bases on asteroids, moons, and space stations. We are not the helpless species these aliens think we are." The room fell silent. World leaders stared at the evidence before them. Humanity had been preparing for war among the stars. While most people thought they were alone in the universe. President Morrison looked at the alien ship still visible through the room's small window. It hung in space like a threat made real. But now she knew it was not the only armed ship in their solar system. "What do we tell them?" asked the Secretary General of the United Nations. Morrison smiled for the first time since the aliens had made contact. She thought about all the species throughout history who had tried to make humans submit. None of them had succeeded. She doubted these aliens would be the first. "We tell them exactly what every conqueror throughout human history has learned," she said. "We tell them that humanity doesn't pay tribute to anyone." 3 days passed after President Morrison's message reached the alien fleet. The world held its breath. News channels showed the same images over and over. The massive alien ship still floated near the moon like a dark promise of destruction. "Commander." Zethkar paced across his bridge. His clawed feet clicked against the metal floor. He had never seen such defiance from a primitive species. In 3,000 years of conquest, every world had submitted within hours of receiving the Council's demands. "Scan their planet again," he ordered his crew. "Show me their weapons. Show me their defenses." The scan results appeared on the main screen. Earth's surface showed small military bases, aircraft, and naval vessels. Everything looked weak and primitive to alien eyes. Metal tubes that threw explosive projectiles. Flying machines that burned chemical fuel. Ships that moved slowly across water surfaces. "They have nothing that can reach us in space," reported his weapons officer. "Their most advanced vehicles barely leave their atmosphere. They are bluffing," Zethkar asked. Six eyes narrowed. "Perhaps, but they refused our generous offer. They must be taught the price of defiance. Prepare 3 destroyers for atmospheric attack. Target their largest population centers. A few million dead will change their minds quickly." Captain Lisa Chun floated in the command center of the UES Vengeance. Her ship hung in the shadow of Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons. The ice-covered surface below reflected starlight, but her vessel remained invisible to alien sensors. Advanced stealth technology kept her hidden from enemy eyes. "Contact from Luna Command," reported her communications officer. "Admiral Collins is giving us the green light." Chun smiled. She had waited 15 years for this moment. She had trained for combat that might never come. She had practiced battle, maneuvers in empty space while the world below lived in peace. Now her training would finally matter. All stations, prepare for combat, she announced over the ship's internal speakers. This is not a drill. We are about to engage alien vessels. In defense of Earth, every person on this ship has a job to do. Do it well. The Vengeance was a beautiful ship. 500 meters long, its hull was covered with sensor arrays and weapon systems. Nuclear engines could push it to incredible speeds. Its armor was made from materials that did not exist when Chun was born. Everything about it was designed for one purpose: to kill enemy ships in the vacuum of space. The first alien destroyer broke away from the main fleet. It moved toward Earth at a speed that would have impressed humans 50 years ago, but the ship was large and slow compared to human military vessels. It broadcasted threatening messages as it approached the planet's upper atmosphere. "Attention, Earth creatures," the alien captain announced. "You have refused the Council's protection. You will now witness the price of defiance. We will destroy one of your cities. Then you will have another chance to surrender." Chun watched her tactical display as the alien ship moved closer to Earth. It was heading for New York City, home to 8 million people. The ship's weapons began to charge with energy. In minutes, it would begin its attack. "Range to target?" Chun asked her weapons officer. 40,000 kilometers in closing," came the reply. "Kinetic weapons have a lock. Particle beams are ready to fire." "Fire all kinetic weapons," Chun ordered. The Vengeance unleashed death at a significant fraction of light speed. 12 tungsten projectiles, each one the size of a telephone pole, streaked across space toward the alien destroyer. The projectiles had been accelerated by magnetic fields to incredible velocity. They carried more energy than nuclear weapons. The alien ship's shields flickered as the projectiles struck. The first 3 shots overloaded the shield generators. The next 9 tore through the hull like bullets through paper. Atmosphere vented into space as the destroyer broke apart. Explosions rippled along its length as internal systems failed. "Target destroyed," reported the weapons officer. "Enemy vessel is breaking up." Chun felt no satisfaction. One ship was down, but 2 more were still heading for Earth. She turned to her navigation officer. "Plot a course for the second destroyer. Full acceleration. We're not done yet." The second alien ship was approaching Los Angeles when the UES Titan emerged from behind. Mars. Captain Jake Murphy commanded the largest human warship ever built. The Titan was a dreadnought designed to fight multiple enemies at once. It carried enough weapons to level a continent. "Target acquired," Murphy announced to his crew. "Antimatter torpedoes are armed and ready." The Titan fired 6 torpedoes at the alien destroyer. Each torpedo contained enough antimatter to power a city for a year. When matter and antimatter touched, they created explosions brighter than the sun. The alien ship simply vanished in a flash of pure energy. Admiral Gary Collins watched the battle from Luna Command, humanity's secret military base on the moon's far side. The base had been built inside an old mining operation. From the outside, it looked like any other industrial facility. Inside, it controlled the most advanced military force in the solar system. 2 targets down, reported his tactical officer. "Third destroyer is turning away from Earth?" "Let it run," Collins ordered. "We want survivors to report back to their masters." The third alien destroyer fled toward the outer solar system. Its captain sent frantic messages to the main fleet. The messages spoke of impossible human weapons and ships that appeared from nowhere. The primitive species had somehow destroyed 2 Council vessels in minutes. Captain Danny Rodriguez of the UES Wolverine pursued the fleeing destroyer. His ship was smaller and faster than the Titan or Vengeance. It was designed for hunting enemies who tried to escape. His crew of 50 were all veterans of the secret space program. "Should we destroy it, sir?" asked his weapons officer. "No," Rodriguez replied. "Let it reach their fleet. Let them see what happens when they threaten Earth, but give them something to remember us by." The Wolverine fired a single particle beam at the alien destroyer. The beam sliced through the ship's engine section, crippling it without destroying it. The alien vessel drifted helplessly as human ships surrounded it. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force," he announced on open channels. "You are prisoners of war. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Commander Zethkar received the surrender message from his crippled destroyer. He stared at the communication screen in disbelief. 3 ships had been sent to punish the humans. 2 were destroyed, 1 was captured. The primitive species had somehow hidden an advanced military force throughout their solar system. "Impossible," he whispered. "Our intelligence," said they barely, "reached their own moon." "Orders, sir." Asked his second in command, Zethkar looked at Earth through the bridge's main window. The blue planet looked the same as before, but now he knew it was defended by weapons he did not understand. Ships that moved faster than his own. Crews that fought like demons. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "We retreat to the edge of this system. Send word to the Council. Tell them we have found something unexpected. Tell them the humans are not what they seem." The alien fleet began to withdraw beyond the orbit of Pluto. They left behind wreckage and prisoners. Most importantly, they left behind their confidence. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Galaxy Council had been defeated in battle. Admiral Collins smiled as he watched the alien ships retreat. The first phase of humanity's plan was complete. Now the real war could begin. The Galaxy Council met on their homeworld of Nexus Prime for the first time in 50 years. The massive crystal chamber held representatives from 12 different species. Some looked like giant insects, others resembled walking trees. A few appeared almost human except for their blue skin and extra arms. Hierarch Zelmuth stood at the center of the chamber. His species had ruled the Council for 2,000 years. His ancestors had conquered hundreds of worlds. Never before had a primitive species destroyed Council warships and lived to tell about it. "The humans must be eliminated," Zelmuth declared. His voice echoed through the crystal walls. "Their defiance will spread to other worlds. If we allow this rebellion to continue, our entire empire will collapse." The other council members murmured their agreement. They had built their power on fear. Every species in the galaxy knew that defying the council meant death. If the humans could fight back successfully, others might try to do the same. "Send the 3rd battle fleet," ordered Council Member Vexthal. Her crystalline body sparkled. As she spoke, 500 ships should be enough to destroy their entire solar system. Captain Ryan Bell received his orders while his ship floated in the asteroid belt. The used Predator was humanity's newest stealth cruiser. It was smaller than the Titan or Vengeance, but it could move faster and hide better than any other human. "Ship, we're going hunting," Bell announced to his crew of 80. "The aliens are bringing reinforcements. Our job is to find them before they reach Earth." The Predator used captured alien navigation data to plot a course to Vulf 359, a star system 11 light-years from Earth. Human intelligence believed the aliens were gathering their fleet there before launching their attack. Bell's ship jumped to faster than light speed using experimental drive technology. The journey that would have taken the aliens months was completed in 3 days. When the Predator dropped back into normal space, Bell's crew saw exactly what they had expected. More than 300 alien warships filled the Vulf 359 system. They were organized in battle formations around the system's largest planet. Supply ships moved between the warships, loading them with weapons and fuel. The aliens were preparing for the largest military operation in Council history. "Send a message to Admiral Collins," Bell ordered his communications officer. "Tell him we found them, then prepare to cause some trouble." Commander Beth Taylor commanded a squadron of 12 human attack ships. Her vessels were spread throughout the Vulf 359 system, each one hidden behind asteroids or small moons. They had been waiting for 3 days for the perfect moment to strike. "Remember the plan," Taylor announced over the squadron communication channel. "Hit their supply ships first. Without fuel and ammunition, their warships become floating targets. Strike fast, strike hard, then disappear before they can respond." The human attack began at exactly midnight, Earth time. 12 ships emerged from hiding spots throughout the system and fired simultaneously. Their targets were the slow, heavily Loaded supply vessels that kept the alien fleet operational. The first salvo destroyed 8 supply ships in seconds. Explosions lit up the darkness as fuel and ammunition exploded. The alien fleet scrambled to respond, but the human ships had already vanished back into hiding. Captain Nick Foster piloted the UES Wolverine through a field of spinning asteroids. His ship was being chased by 4 alien destroyers, but Foster was not worried. He had grown up flying racing ships through asteroid fields for sport. These slow alien vessels could never catch him. "Coming up on ambush point 3, Foster announced to his crew. "Hold on tight." The Wolverine spun around a large asteroid and suddenly found itself flying alongside 2 other human destroyers. The 3 ships opened fire on their pursuers simultaneously. The coordinated attack overwhelmed the alien shields instantly. 3 enemy ships exploded in quick succession. The 4th alien destroyer tried to retreat but ran directly into a wall of human missile fire. 4 down, Foster reported. Moving to ambush point 7. The battle in Vulf 359 continued for 6 hours. Human ships appeared from nowhere, destroyed their targets, and vanished again before the aliens could retaliate. The Council fleet, designed to overwhelm primitive opponents through sheer numbers, found itself being picked apart by an enemy that refused to fight fair. Admiral Kethver commanded the alien fleet from his flagship, a massive vessel called the Eternal Dominion. He watched in growing horror as his supply ships were destroyed one by one. Without supplies, his warships would be stranded in this system. "How many humans are there?" he demanded from his tactical officer. "Unknown, sir. They appear and disappear too quickly for our sensors to track. We estimate no more than 20 ships, but they fight like 200. Kethver slammed his fist against his command chair. 20 human ships were destroying a fleet of 300 council vessels. It was impossible. It was humiliating. It was exactly what was happening. "All ships prepare to jump to the human system," he ordered. "We will destroy their homeworld and end this rebellion." "Sir," his navigation officer reported nervously, "we have lost 60% of our fuel supplies. Many ships do not have enough power to reach the human system." Captain Taylor watched the alien fleet attempt to organize for their attack on Earth. Many ships were dead in space, their fuel tanks empty. Others limped along on backup power systems. The proud Council Armada looked more like a refugee convoy than a military force. "Time for Phase 2, Taylor announced. "All ships prepare for a coordinated strike. Target the command vessel, the Eternal Dominion." Was the largest ship in the alien fleet. Its destruction would leave the remaining Council forces without leadership or coordination. Taylor's squadron emerged from hiding and accelerated toward the alien flagship. At maximum speed, the human ships moved in perfect formation, their attacks synchronized like a deadly dance. Kinetic projectiles and particle beams struck the Eternal Dominion from 6 different directions simultaneously. The alien flagship's shields collapsed under the concentrated fire. Admiral Kethver felt his ship shaking apart around him. Emergency lights flashed red as hull breaches vented atmosphere into space. His crew abandoned their stations as fires spread through the ship's corridors. "Abandon ship," he ordered. "All hands to the escape pods." The Eternal Dominion broke apart in a series of massive explosions. The alien fleet's command structure collapsed with it. Individual ships began retreating in different directions, each captain making his own decision about whether to continue the fight. Captain Bell watched the alien fleet scatter across the Vulf 359 system. Some ships tried to retreat toward Council space. Others attempted to reach Earth on whatever fuel they had left. Most simply drifted helplessly, waiting for rescue that might never come. "Mission accomplished," Bell reported to Admiral Collins. "The alien attack fleet has been neutralized. Repeat, the threat has been eliminated." On Earth, Admiral Collins smiled as he received the message. The aliens had expected to find a helpless planet defended by primitive weapons. Instead, they had discovered that humans were very good at something the Council had forgotten how to do properly. They were very good at war. The Council's second attempt to subjugate humanity had failed even more completely than their first. Now it was time for humans to take the fight to the enemy. It was time to show the galaxy what happened when someone threatened Earth. 6 months had passed since the battle at Vulf 359. Admiral Gary Collins stood on the bridge of the UES Constitution, watching the construction of forward operating base Defiance. The massive space station orbited the planet Kepler 442b, the first world humans had captured from the Galaxy Council. Construction is ahead of schedule, reported Chief Engineer Linda Mason. The main docking bays will be operational in 2 weeks. We can start basing the heavy cruisers here by next month. Collins nodded as he watched human workers in space, suits installing weapon systems on the station's outer hull. The base would serve as humanity's first foothold in alien territory. More importantly, it would send a message to every species in the galaxy. The humans were no longer hiding in their home system. Colonel Sarah Brooks walked through the corridors of the captured Council Intelligence Facility on Kepler 442b. Her team had spent weeks translating alien computer files and questioning prisoners. What they discovered changed everything humans thought they knew about the galaxy. The Council is weaker than we imagined, Brooks explained to Collins during their daily briefing. Their empire is held together by fear, not strength. Most of their subject species hate them. They want to rebel but lack the courage to try. She placed a datapad on the table between them. The screen showed a map of local space with hundreds of star systems marked in different colors. Red systems are loyal to the Council, she continued. Yellow systems are neutral. Green systems want to rebel but are too afraid. There are more green systems than red ones. Collins studied the map carefully. What about their military strength? That's the interesting part, Brooks replied. The Council has not fought a real war in over 1,000 years. They have big ships and advanced technology, but their tactics are outdated. They rely on overwhelming primitive species with superior numbers. They have no experience fighting opponents who can match their technology. The door to the briefing room opened. Captain Danny Rodriguez entered, still wearing his flight suit. His squadron had just returned from a reconnaissance mission to the Altair system. The Zephyrians want to meet with us, Rodriguez announced. They sent a message through back channels. They want to discuss rebellion against the Council. Collins smiled. The Zephyrians were one of the oldest species under Council control. They had been paying tribute for 800 years. If they were ready to rebel, other species would follow their example. Captain Tracy Adams commanded the UES Leviathan, humanity's newest super-dreadnought. The massive warship was 3 times larger than the Constitution and carried enough firepower to destroy a planet. It had been designed specifically for one purpose: breaking heavily fortified enemy positions. Target in sight, Adams announced as her ship dropped out of faster-than-light speed. Before them hung Rigel VII, the Council's most heavily defended fortress world. The planet's surface was covered with military bases and weapon installations. Orbital defense platforms surrounded it like a deadly crown. Beginning bombardment, Adams ordered. All weapons open fire. The Leviathan unleashed destruction on a scale never before seen in galactic warfare. Antimatter torpedoes struck the orbital platforms, turning them into expanding clouds of plasma. Particle beam cannons carved through the planet's atmosphere, striking military targets on the surface with surgical precision. The Council defenders fought back desperately. Energy beams and missile salvos reached toward the human dreadnought, but the Leviathan shields held firm while its weapons continued their relentless assault. Orbital defenses neutralized, reported the weapons officer. Planetary shields are failing. Continue bombardment, Adams replied. We're not leaving anything standing. President Kate Morrison sat in the Oval Office, reading reports from the front lines. The war that had begun with an alien ultimatum was now being fought across dozens of star systems. Human fleets were liberating worlds that had been under Council control for centuries. The Zephyrians have officially joined our alliance, reported Secretary of Defense William Carter. Their fleet is small, but their knowledge of Council military operations is invaluable. They're already providing intelligence about other species who want to rebel. Morrison nodded. What about the Altair system? Completely liberated, Carter replied. Captain Rodriguez reports that the local population is celebrating in the streets. They're calling the humans the liberators and asking how they can help. In the war effort, Morrison stood and walked to the window. She could see the Washington Monument in the distance, a symbol of human achievement and independence. Soon, similar monuments would be built on dozens of worlds throughout the galaxy. The Zephyrian delegation arrived at Forward Operating Base Defiance aboard a sleek silver ship. Their leader, Ambassador Vexstar, was a tall, graceful being with flowing tentacles instead of arms. His species had once been explorers and scientists before the Council enslaved them. We bring greetings from the free worlds of Altair, Vexstar announced to Admiral Collins. We also bring something more valuable. Information about Council military capabilities and the locations of their remaining strongholds. Collins welcomed the alien diplomat to the human base. It felt strange to be allies with beings from another world, but the Zephyrians had proven their commitment to freedom by fighting alongside human forces. The Council is gathering their remaining fleets at Nexus Prime, Vexstar continued. They plan a final assault on Earth, but their forces are weaker than they appear. Many of their ships are outdated. Many of their crews are inexperienced. How many ships? Collins asked. Perhaps 2,000, Vexstar replied. But most are old and poorly maintained. The Council has not built new warships in centuries. They believed their empire would last forever. Collins smiled grimly. 2,000 ships sounded like a lot, but human forces had been growing stronger every day. More importantly, they were no longer fighting alone. The rebellion was spreading throughout the galaxy. Captain Ryan Bell led a strike force of 30 human ships toward the Vega system. Intelligence reports indicated that the Council was using the system as a staging area for their final attack on Earth. Bell's mission was simple: destroy everything the enemy had built there. Multiple targets detected, reported his sensor officer. Shipyards, supply depots, and what looks like a training facility. Weapons free, Bell announced. Destroy everything that moves. The human attack was swift and brutal. Kinetic projectiles, traveling at near light speed, tore through alien installations like paper. Antimatter warheads turned entire space stations into expanding balls of plasma. In less than an hour, the Vega system was cleansed of Council presence, but the most important discovery came from the wreckage of the alien training facility. Human Marines found evidence that the Council had been desperately trying to train new crews for their ancient warships. The training logs showed that most new recruits were failing basic competency tests. They're running out of experienced personnel, reported Marine Colonel Frank Murphy. The files show that 80% of their fleet crews have less than 5 years of experience. Most have never been in actual combat. Admiral Collins received this information with satisfaction. The Galaxy Council was not just losing territory and ships. They were losing the knowledge and experience that had made them powerful. Soon, they would have nothing left but empty threats and fading memories of past glory. The tide of war had turned completely. What had begun as humanity's desperate defense of Earth had become a campaign of liberation that spanned the galaxy. The Council's empire was crumbling, and freedom was spreading to worlds that had been enslaved for millennia. Soon it would be time for the final battle. The humans were ready to carry the war to the enemy's homeworld and end the Council's reign of terror forever. 1 year after the Galaxy Council first demanded tribute from Earth, President Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Constitution. Through the main viewing window, she could see Nexus Prime, the Council's homeworld. The planet that had once ruled over hundreds of star systems now lay defenseless before a human fleet. The battle for Nexus Prime had lasted 3 days. Admiral Gary Collins had brought 200 human warships and 50 allied vessels from liberated worlds. The Council's final defense fleet had fought desperately, but their outdated ships and inexperienced crews were no match for human military doctrine. "The planetary shields are down," reported Captain Lisa Shun from the Vengeance. Her ship floated among the wreckage of Council defense platforms. All orbital fortresses have been destroyed. The planet is completely exposed. Morrison watched as the last Council warship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The mighty fleet that had once terrorized the galaxy was now nothing but floating debris. After 12 months of continuous warfare, the Council's military power was completely broken. "Open a communication channel to the planet," Morrison ordered. "It's time to deliver our terms." On the surface of Nexus Prime, Hierarch Zelmuth sat in the ruins of the Council chamber. The crystal walls were cracked and broken. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows across the damaged room. Most of the other Council members had fled or been killed during the final battle. "Incoming transmission from the human fleet," reported his last remaining aide. "They are demanding unconditional surrender." Zelmuth laughed bitterly. A year ago, he had been the ruler of half the galaxy. His word had been law on 1,000 worlds. Now he was trapped on his home planet, waiting for terms from the primitive species he had tried to enslave. Morrison's image appeared on the main screen in the Council chamber. Her face showed no mercy, no forgiveness. She spoke with the voice of humanity's righteous anger. "People of the Galaxy Council," she began, "your empire is finished. Your fleets are destroyed. Your allies have abandoned you. You now face the same choice you once offered to Earth: submit or be destroyed." Zelmuth felt his multiple hearts racing as Morrison continued speaking. The human president's words echoed through the chamber like the pronouncement of a final judgment. "These are our terms," Morrison announced. "First, you will pay reparations to every species you have enslaved. The tribute you stole from other worlds will be returned with interest. Second, your military forces will be disbanded immediately. Your weapons technology will be shared freely among all liberated species." Admiral Collins stood beside Morrison as she delivered humanity's ultimatum. Around them, the bridge crew of the Constitution worked quietly at their stations. These men and women had spent the last year fighting a war that most humans never knew was happening. "Third," Morrison continued, "your government will be dissolved. The age of the Galaxy Council is over. In its place, we will establish a new confederation based on cooperation instead of conquest. Every species will have an equal voice. No one will pay tribute to anyone." Dr. Amanda Price monitored the construction of New Geneva Station from her office aboard the Constitution. The massive diplomatic complex was being built in neutral space, halfway between Earth and the former Council territories it would serve. As the capital of the new galactic government, the station will be operational within 6 months, Price reported to Morrison. "We've received confirmation from 47 species that they want to join the new confederation. More are applying every day." Morrison nodded with satisfaction. The galaxy was finally free from the Council's oppression. But freedom came with responsibility. Humanity would need to help guide the transition from tyranny to democracy. Captain Danny Rodriguez commanded the escort fleet protecting the construction site of New Geneva Station. His ships patrolled the area constantly, watching for any remaining Council loyalists who might try to disrupt the peace process. "Multiple ships approaching," reported his sensor officer. "Configuration matches former Council vessels, but they're flying surrender flags." Rodriguez watched as a small fleet of alien ships approached the construction site. These were representatives from worlds that had remained loyal to the Council until the very end. Now they too wanted to join the new galactic order. Colonel Sarah Brooks had spent weeks interviewing former Council officials and military personnel. Her job was to separate war criminals from those who had simply followed orders. The process was complicated, but justice demanded that the truth be discovered. "Most of the lower-ranking personnel were just doing their jobs," Brooks reported to Admiral Collins. "They followed orders because they were afraid of what would happen if they didn't, but the senior leadership knew exactly what they were doing. They built their empire on slavery and murder." Collins reviewed the list of names Brooks had compiled. These were the individuals responsible for centuries of oppression and suffering. They would face trial before an international court that included representatives from every liberated world. Captain Tracy Adams supervised the dismantling of the Council's war machine. Her engineering teams worked alongside former enemies to strip weapons from Council ships and convert them for peaceful purposes. Warships became cargo vessels. Battle stations became research facilities. "It's strange," Adams told her chief engineer. "6 months ago, we were trying to destroy these ships. Now we're helping their crews rebuild them for scientific research." The engineer smiled. "That's the difference between humans and the Council. We fight to create peace, not to maintain power." President Morrison walked through the corridors of New Geneva Station on the day of its official opening. Representatives from more than 60 species had gathered to sign the charter that would establish the new Galactic Confederation. The document guaranteed freedom and equality for all member worlds. Ambassador Vextar of the Zephyrians approached Morrison during the ceremony. His tentacles moved gracefully as he spoke, a sign of respect among his people. "Your species has given the galaxy something we thought was lost forever," he said. "Hope. For the first time in centuries, we believe in a better future." Morrison smiled as she looked around the station's main assembly hall. Beings from dozens of different worlds worked together, planning the future of galactic civilization. They spoke different languages and had different customs, but they shared a common dream of peace and prosperity. The formal ceremony began with Morrison addressing the assembled delegates. She stood at a podium made from metal donated by every member world, a symbol of their unity in diversity. "Today we begin a new chapter in galactic history," she announced. "The age of conquest and tribute is over. The age of cooperation and mutual respect has begun. We gather not as rulers and subjects, but as equals working toward a common goal." The delegates voted unanimously to establish the Galactic Confederation. The charter was signed by every representative present, including several former council members who had renounced their previous allegiance. As the ceremony concluded, Morrison looked out through the station's main viewing port. In the distance, she could see construction ships working on the first joint human-alien research facility. Scientists from Earth and dozens of other worlds would work together to push the boundaries of knowledge and technology. The species that had once demanded tribute from humanity now sought protection under human leadership. The tables had turned completely. Where fear once ruled, hope now flourished. Where oppression once reigned, freedom now thrived. The Galaxy Council was dead. In its place rose something better, a confederation built on the principles that humanity had always cherished: freedom, equality, the right of every species to determine its own destiny. The war was over. The galaxy was finally at peace.